Welcome to IB 360. In this video, we will discuss the solution of IB November paper 2020. So the first question is from probability, that is a discrete random variable x has the probability distribution given by the following table. So this is the distribution table. So from here we can conclude that this, if we add all these fours, we will get equals to 1. So like this, probability is equals to 1, that is p plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 6 plus q equals to 1. So this is my number 1 equation. And for number 2 equation, we can take the expectation, that is e of x equals to 19 by 12. We will use this to find the expectation. We can use 0 into p plus 1 into 1 by 4 plus 2 into 1 by 6 plus 3q is equals to e of x. So we can write 0 plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 3 plus 3q is equals to 19 by 12. So from here you can get, that is 12, and here 3 plus 4 plus 3q equals to 19 by 12. From here we are getting 7 by 12 plus 3q equals to 19 by 12. So we will get 3q is equals to 19 by 12 minus 7 by 12, that is equals to 12 by 12 equals to 1. So q equals to 1 by 3. This we will get, that is q equals to 1 by 3. So we have got the value of q. Now we will find out the value of p from this equation, that is p plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 6 plus the value of q is 1 by 3. So 1 by 3 is equals to 1. So p, and here you can see the total LCM will be 12. So 3 plus 2 plus 4 equals to 1. So we are getting p plus 9 by 12 equals to 1. So here I am doing the rest part. So p plus 3 by 4 equals to 1. So p equals to 1 minus 3 by 4. So p equals to 1 by 4. So we have all the values. P equals to 1 by 4 and q equals to 1 by 3. So p, this is equals to 1 by 4, and q, this is equals to 1 by 3. So the first question is done. It was a very easy question if you know the normal distribution, and you have the expectation, you know the expectation and the normal distribution, then you have the following result. Okay, so next move towards the second question, that is find the equation to the tangent of the tangent to the curve y equals to e to the power minus e to the power 2x minus 3x at the point where x equals to 0. In a previous video we have done this type of problem where we have found out the gradient, and from there we have started to get the solution. So equation of the tangent I have to find out. It will be one straight line. So the normal equation will be y equals to mx plus c, where m is the gradient, that is basically nothing but y dash, or you can say ddx of y. By using this we can find out the gradient. So first we will find out the gradient. So y equals to e to the power 2x minus 3x. So y dash equals to ddx of y equals to ddx of e to the power 2x minus 3x. So from here we are getting 2 e to the power 3x minus 3, and that is y dash. Now at x equals to 0 we need to find out the gradient. So y dash at x equals to 0 will be 2 e to the power 3 into 0 minus 3, that is 2 minus 3 equals to 1. 2 equals to 3, 2 minus 3, that is minus 1. Sorry, so this is minus 1. So m is basically minus 1. The gradient is minus 1. Gradient is equals to minus 1. From here we have got that gradient. So now the equation becomes y equals to minus x plus c. Now we have to find out the value of c. So at x equals to 0, we will find out the value of y. So y equals to e to the power 2x minus 3x. So at x equals to 0, y value will be e to the power 2 into 0 minus 0. So y is equals to 1. At x equals to 0, y equals to 1. You can see here e to the power 0. This is basically e to the power 0. So equals to 1. So from here we are getting y equals to 1 at x equals to 0, at x equals to 0. So we will put this equation in this particular line. So from here we will get, that is 1 equals to minus of 0 plus c. So c equals to 1. If this is equation number 1, then we have put the values in equation number 1. Putting values in equation 1. So we have c equals to 1. Now we have to write this equation in a simpler form, that is y equals to minus x. The value of c is 1 plus 1. This is the equation of the tangent line at x equals to 0, or we can simplify this to be x plus y minus 1 equals to 0. This is the equation of the tangent line. So this we can call the equation of the tangent line. The equation of the tangent at x equals to 0. So this was the sum. It was also a very easy sum. Just you have to remember the part, that is for for straight line, the normal equation is y equals to mx plus c, where m is the gradient. Now how you will find out the gradient? You just have to differentiate with respect to the independent variable. Here the independent variable is x, you have to keep in mind. So I have taken the derivative with respect to x, and I have found out the normal equation. After that, at x equals to 0, we have found out the value of m. In this way you can solve this problem. It was also a very easy problem. Now let's move towards the third problem, that is this is also from the probability chapter. This is also from probability chapter, and let us solve this problem. So 3 types of omelets are available to order: chicken, vegetarian and stick. Each omelette is served with either a portion of fries or hash browns. It is known that 20% of customers choose a chicken omelette, 70% choose a vegetarian omelette, and 10% choose a stick omelette. It is also known that 65% of those ordering the chicken omelette, 70% of those ordering the vegetarian omelette, and 60% of those ordering the stick omelette order fries. The following tree diagram represents the orders made by each customer. So first question is, complete the tree diagram by adding the respective probabilities to each branch. It is very simple question. So from here you can get that the 20% of customers choose chicken omelette. So here will be 20%. So 20% of the customers choose chicken omelettes. Now 70% of those choose vegetarian omelette. So here will be 70%, and 10% choose a stick omelette. So 10% will choose the stick omelette. Now orders fries, this percentage, that is fries, this for this branch the percentages are: for chicken, that is 65%, 65%; for vegetarian omelette, that is 70%, and for stick omelette, that is 60%. So first, if we simplify this part, we can get the orders, the person, those who have ordered chicken omelette, of them 65% orders fries chicken omelette, and rest orders hash brown chicken omelette. Okay, so this is 65%. So obviously from 100% we will have to deduct. So this value will be 35%. This value will be 30%, and this value will be your 40%. Okay, so in this way the complete tree diagram is there. So if we simplify again, if we want to think about this part in elaborate way, then we can think, if there are 100 people, so of them 70 will order vegetarian omelette, and of them, that is for of 70 people, of those 70 people, 70% will order the fried vegetarian omelette, and rest 30% will order the hash brown vegetarian omelette. I think you have cleared all the concept from this tree, because this will help us to do the rest problems. Okay, so now we will move towards the second problem. That is, we have done with the first problem. This we have done. This tree we have basically constructed in the previous question. Now find the probability that a randomly selected customers orders fries. Find the probability that a randomly selected customers orders fries. That means the customer that will those will order the fries, that is this portion only, this branch only. Okay, so to go to this branch we have to move by this way, 20% and then 60%. Remember my word, that is 20% and then 60%, 65%, or 70% and then 70%, then 10% and then 60%. Okay, so and means here multiplication operator. So find the probability that a randomly selected customers orders fries. So first of all, one customer is there, and that customer can order fries. So that customer can order chicken omelette also, vegetarian omelette also, as well as stick omelette also. So you will take all these three in consideration. So the probability will be you can get it from here, that is 20 0.20, that is if there is 20%, it is basically nothing but 0.20. Okay, so 0.20 into 0.65 into 0.65, then plus for vegetarian portions, that is 0.70 into 0.70, plus for stick portion, that is 0.10 into 0.60, that is 0.20, that is 20% people ordered chicken omelette, and of them 65% ordered fries, the fried chicken omelette. So 0.20 into 0.65, here 0.70 into 0.70, and 0.10 into 0.60. Considering the branch, considering this branch, I have got this result. So from here you can get, that is, this is 0.13 plus if you calculate this will be your 0.49, and this will be 0.06. So the probability is 0.68. If you add all these three numbers, that this will be 0.68. So the probability, find the probability that a randomly selected customer orders fries. This probability will be, so the probability is 0.68. So this is the answer. The probability is 0.68. Okay, now we will move towards the third question. Okay, so here some calculation will be there, and some thing that you need to consider, that is find the probability that a randomly selected customers order fries given that they do not order a chicken omelette. Okay, so here we will use the theorem of a probability, that is P of A given B is equals to P of A intersection B divided by P of B, probability of B. So here A will be the answer that we need to find out, that is find the probability that a randomly selected customer orders fries. So A given B will, A will be orders fries, it will be orders fries, and B is, that is they do not, here not, you have to see the bold option, that is not order chicken omelette, so not chicken. B is not chicken. You have to keep in mind, do not give here just chicken, so this will be not chicken. Okay, so now if we find out the probability, that is P of A given B is equals to, this will be P of A intersection B. Now try to understand this portion, that is P of A intersection B. It means those probability to we have to find out those probability where the person orders fries but not from chicken, orders fries but not from chicken. So this branch will be omitted, this branch will be omitted. Okay, so this branch will be omitted, and we have left with these two branches only. So for these two branches, the selected the person that can order fry, if we want to select one person from there, so there will be vegetarian 70% and of them 70% orders fries, or 10% and of them 60% will order fries. So it is very easy. So above will be 0.70 into 0.70 plus 0.10 and 0.60. 0.10 into 0.60. This is the first portion. And of B, that is not chicken. So not chicken means this complete branch will be omitted. So for not chicken, only these two branches we will consider. So not chicken means where there is not any condition of fries and hash browns, so not any condition. So you will take only the premium values, that is 70% and 10%. That is the people, number of people those have chosen vegetarian omelette as well as steak omelette also. So here will be 0.70 plus 0.10. I think you have understood why this is there. Like not chicken, B is the probability for those people who have not chosen chicken, any chicken dish. So only vegetarian steak is there. So that's why 0.70 plus 0.10. And above, those have not chosen chicken as well as they have chosen fries. So that's why 70 and 70, those will give me fries, and 10 and 60, those will give me fries. That's why multiplication is there, then also OR operator, and here only OR operator. So from here we can get 0.49 plus 0.06 divided by 0.80. So from here we are getting, that is 0.55 divided by 0.80. So basically 55 divided by 80. So it is 11 by 16. So 5, I am dividing it with 5. So 5 and 16. So this is the answer. The probability is 11 by 16. So for number C, the answer will be, the probability is 11 by 16. So in this way, the third question is also done. I think till now all you have understood, and thank you for watching IB360. In next videos, the next problems will be discussed. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to IB360. This is the second part of the HL solution. So the number 4th question is, consider the equation 2z divided by 3 minus z star equals to I, where z is given as x plus iy. So obviously you can get the idea that is z is the complex number, and if z is the complex number, it is written as x plus iy. Then obviously the conjugate will be, z star is equals to x minus iy. This is the conjugate of z. Now the problem becomes very easy, that is 2z divided by 3 minus z star is equals to I. So now we will put the value, that is 2, this value of z is x plus iy, so x plus iy divided by 3 minus z star, so it is basically x minus iy. This is x plus, so x minus iy equals to I. Now just we have to give the cross multiplication, that is 2x plus 2yi equals to 3i minus I x minus iy. So after multiplying this with the terms, so we will get, that is 2x plus 2yi equals to 3i minus xi plus I square y. So it is 2x plus 2yi equals to plus I square, so this will be minus y. So minus y plus I into 3 minus x. So for complex numbers, the real parts will be same and the imaginary parts will be same. So let me give you one more example, that is x1 plus iy1. If this is equals to x2 plus iy2, then x1 equals to x2 and y1 equals to y2. So this is the formula that we will use here, that the real part is equals to the real part and the imaginary part is equals to the imaginary part. So in this way the problem will go. So from here we can get that the real part 2x is equals to real part minus y, and we can get that is imaginary part 2y is equals to imaginary part 3 minus x. So basically here y equals to minus 2x. We will put the value here, that is 2 into minus 2x equals to 3 minus x. So minus 4x equals to 3 minus x. So we are getting minus 3x equals to 3. So x equals to minus 1. So x is becoming minus 1. So now we will put the value here and we will get that is y equals to minus 2 into minus 1, that is 2. So y equals to 2 and x equals to minus 1. So find the value of x and y. It will be x equals to minus 1 and y equals to 2. This is the value. This was a very simple question. Just you need to remember this formula only, that is for any complex number the real part will be same and the imaginary part will be same. Just I have used that property in this question. So this was question number 4. Now we will move towards question number 5. So the question is, the first term in an arithmetic sequence is 4 and the fifth term is log of base 2 625. So first term, let the first term be, let the first term be u1, and it is given that the first term of the arithmetic sequence, you have to keep in mind that is this is not geometric, this is arithmetic. So u1 equals to 4 and the fifth term. Now formula for fifth term, that is u5 equals to first term plus that is 5 minus 1 into d. D is the common difference. So the normal formula is un equals to u1 plus n minus 1 into d, where d is the common difference. This is common difference. So this is the first term and this is the nth term. So from the formula we are getting that is u5 is given as log base 2 625. So I am writing log base 2 625 equals to first term is 4 plus 4d. We have to find out the common difference, that is d. Okay, so d is the common difference. I have also mentioned here, that is d is the common difference. Now log base 2 625 minus 4 equals to 4d, or 4d equals to log 2 625 minus, we have to express 4 in terms of log so that we can find out the value of d in terms of log. Here you can see in the question it is written as you have to find out the value of d, that is common difference, in terms of logarithm. So that's why we have to find out the value of 4 in terms of log base 2 value. So it will be 2 base 16. Okay, so from here we are getting 4d equals to log base 2 625 divided by 16. So from here just see here, that is 4d equals to log base 2 625 divided by 16. From here we are getting d to be equals to 1 by 4 log base 2 625 divided by 16. So we are getting d equals to, this will be the power of this term. So log base 2 625 divided by 16 to the power 1 by 4. And if we simplify that, we will find d is equals to log base 2 624 fourth root is 5 and 16 fourth root is 2. So 5 by 2. This is the answer. D in terms of log. So d in terms of log. Yes, you can see here. Find the common difference of the sequence expressing your answer in terms of log base 2p, where p is in the q. So obviously p is in q. Okay, so this was about the fifth question. Okay, so this was the fifth question. Now we will move towards the sixth question. Okay, so here the question is, this is also one simple question. Just you have to remember the properties of trigonometry and properties of quadratic equation. So first you need the property of trigonometry. and second quadratic equations. Okay, so let's start. Consider the equation ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0, where a is not equals to 0. Obviously a must not be 0 to become this to quadratic. Given that the roots of this equation are x equals to sine theta and x equals to cos theta, so two roots of this equation are sine theta and cos theta, so that b square equals to a square plus 2ac. So let the first root be alpha equals to sine theta, and second root is beta equals to cos theta. So we know alpha plus beta, that is the sum of the roots equals to minus b by a, minus b by a. This is basically nothing but equals to sine theta plus cos theta. And again we have one another information, that is alpha beta is equals to c by a. Now c by a is nothing but this is equals to sine theta into cos theta. This is equation 2 and this is equation 1. So from here we are getting, that is sine theta plus cos theta equals to minus b by a. So we are getting, if we square this, so sine theta plus cos theta whole square equals to b square by a square minus b, so total whole square will be b square. So from here we are getting sine square theta plus cos square theta plus 2 sine theta cos theta equals to b square by a square. Now this complete term becomes 1 from the law of trigonometry. So we are getting 1 plus 2. Now sine theta cos theta, the value is given here, that is c by a. 1 plus 2 into c by a equals to b square by a square. Now we will multiply the complete term with a square. So if we multiply the complete term with a square, then a square multiply, we are multiplying this with a square, so 2 into c by a equals to b, this is, and b square by a square into a square. We are multiplying this complete equation in both the sides with a square. So we are getting, just to see here, we are getting, that is a square plus 2ca equals to b square. This is we have to find out, that is b square equals to a square plus 2ac. This is we have to find out. So this is proved. So in this way the sixth problem is also done. So this was also another simple problem. Just you have to keep in mind that you have a proper knowledge of trigonometry as well as quadratic equation. In your question there may be questions like this type of questions where you have to put various chapters information in one problem. So thank you for watching IB360. In next videos we will discuss the next problems. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to IB360. These are the last problems of section A of HL paper. So the question number 7 is, consider the complex numbers z1 equals to cos of 11 pi by 12 plus I sin 11 pi by 12. So this completely reminds you the Euler theorem, that is e to the power I theta. E to the power I theta is basically nothing but cos theta plus I sin theta. So we can write this in terms of e to the power I theta. So z1, then z1 will be so e to the power I 11 pi by 12. As you can see, I e to the power 11 pi by 12 means cos 11 pi by 12 plus I sin 11 pi by 12. So this is e to the power I 11 pi by 12. And z, here you can see z2, this will be cos pi by 6 plus I sin pi by 6. So for this case theta will be pi by 6. So for this instance the theta will be pi by 6. So here we are writing e to the power I pi by 6. So basically these are the complex term in terms of e, in terms of exponential terms. So now we have to find out z1 by z2 and z2 by z1. So first one, that is z1 by z2. So z1 by z2, it means e to the power I 11 pi by 12 divided by e to the power I pi by 6. So we are getting e to the power I 11 pi by 12 minus pi by 6. So it becomes e to the power I 9 pi by 12. So we are getting e to the power I 3 pi by 4. So z1 by z2, this will become z1 by z2, this will become cos 3 pi by 4 plus I sine 3 pi by 4. Now the value of cos 3 pi by 4 will be minus 1 by root 2 plus I 1 by root 2. So this is the value of z1 by z2. We have got the value. Now we will try to find out the value of z2 by z1. So z2 by z1 in the same way it will be e to the power I 11. In for z2 it will be first term will be e to the power I pi by 6. So e to the power I pi by 6 divided by e to the power I 11 pi by 12. So from here we are getting e to the power I pi by 6 minus 11 pi by 12. After calculating you will get it is e to the power I minus 3 pi by 4. So basically it is nothing but e to the power minus I 3 pi by 4. Now the formula for e to the power minus I theta is equals to cos theta minus I sin theta. We will apply the formula here. So it will be cos 3 pi by 4 minus I sin 3 pi by 4. So the value will be minus 1 by root 2 minus I 1 by root 2. So this is the value of z2 by z1. So this is the value of z2 by z1 and this is the value of z1 by z2. We will need this value to evaluate the next problem, that is 0, z1 by z2 and z2 by z1 are represented by 3 points O, A and B respectively on an organ diagram. So determine the area of triangle OAB. So let's move to the next slide and we will have the values here. Like z1 by z2, this was determined like minus 1 by root 2 plus I 1 by root 2, and z2 by z1, this was determined as minus 1 by root 2 minus I 1 by root 2. So if we construct the points, this is our imaginary axis and this is our real axis. So this is imaginary axis and this is real axis. So imaginary axis and real axis. So the point minus 1 by root 2 plus I 1 by root 2 will be somewhere like here. That is z1 by z2. This point is z1 by z2. So if we find out the mod of z1 by z2, it will become 1. So the value of OA is 1. OA is basically nothing but mod of z1 by z2 equals to 1. Now OB is equals to z2 by z1. This mod will be OB. So OB is basically mod of z2 by z1 is equals to again 1. This angle is C, so angle C will be, so first I have constructed this graph. This point is A by taking minus 1 by root 2 plus I 1 by root 2. This point is A, and the point B, that is z2 by z1, that is minus 1 by root 2 and I of minus 1 by root 2. So this cross point is B point. So now for angle C, we have angle C is basically nothing but this complete angle is equals to plus 3 pi by 4 and this complete angle is equals to minus 3 pi by 4. If we see the angle notation, then so C will be 2 pi minus 3 pi by 4 minus 3 pi by 4. So basically how we are getting that, this complete quantity, that is 3 pi by 4, and this complete quantity, that is 3 pi by 4, it will be deducted from 2 pi, that is the complete angle. So this will be 2 pi minus, so we are directly we are doing the LCM here and we will find out the value, that is 8, then sorry, this will be 4. So first 4, then here 8 pi minus 3 pi minus 3 pi. So it will be 2 pi by 4. So C is nothing but C equals to pi by 2. Now here for finding the area of triangle OAB, this will be area of triangle OAB. This will be half into 1 into sine C according to the formula from the trigonometry we have.
So half into 1 into 1 into this value of c is pi by 2. So sine of pi by 2. So we are getting half into 1 into 1 into 1. So basically half. So the area of triangle OAB, this will be OAB, area of triangle OAB is half. So again I will repeat the process so that you can understand it properly. First consider the complex numbers. Now the first problem, from the first problem we have found out, from the first problem it is considered that the z1 by z2 is equals to minus 1 by root 2 plus I 1 by root 2. What the formula we have used here, that is e to the power I theta and e to the power minus I theta. These two formulas we have used. For e to the power I theta we have deducted it as cos theta plus I sin theta, and for e to the power minus I theta we have constructed it as cos theta minus I sin theta. So this was the formula for this, and cos theta plus I sin theta is formula for this e to the power I theta. After constructing all these values, we have found out the value of z1 by z2 and z2 by z1. Now we have to find out 0, z1 by z2 and z2 by z1 are represented by 3 points O, A and B respectively on an organ diagram. So basically this diagram means a plane where imaginary numbers will be there with the real numbers. So from here we have got this imaginary axis and we have got the real axis, and then we have constructed the 2 points A and B. So basically A is nothing but z1 by z2. Now the point is, in real axis minus 1 by root 2, somewhere here it is minus 1 by root 2. This point is minus 1 by root 2, and if we construct it, it will be plus I 1 by root 2, and this point will be your minus I 1 by root 2. So these 2 points have also been considered. So in this way these 2 cross points have been taken. These 2 cross points have been taken, A and B, these 2 points are taken, and after taking the values we have constructed it with 3 pi by 4, that is e to the power I 3 pi by 4. After getting e to the power I 3 pi by 4 we have got A, and after getting e to the power minus I 3 pi by 4 we have got B. So basically we will get this type of triangle. I am shading it, you can see here we will get this yellow shaded triangle, and to get the formula we will get the trigonometry formula, that is half into A into B. So if this is A, I am writing here, you will see if this is A, if this side is B, then the formula is half into A into B into sine C. This is the formula for finding the area of a triangle if one angle is given and two sides are given. So from there we have got the formula to be the area of triangle OAB is basically half. So this was the answer. Now this is the next problem where it is described. Show that sin x into tan x divided by 1 minus cos x, this is equals to 1 plus 1 by cos x, where you have to find out this limitation, that is x cannot be 2n pi. And how we will solve that, let's see. That is sin x into tan x divided by 1 minus cos x. This is basically, now we have to simplify tan x. So sin x into sin x divided by cos x divided by 1 minus cos x. So we are getting sin square x divided by cos x into 1 minus cos x. So now we just have to insert the formula of sin square x. So we know sin square x plus cos square x equals to 1. So sin square x equals to 1 minus cos square x. So what we will get here, just see here, that is sin square x. So we are writing is it as 1 minus cos square x divided by cos x into 1 minus cos x. Now we can use this formula, that is a square minus b square is equals to a plus b into a minus b. We will use it here, that is 1 plus cos x into 1 minus cos x, 1 minus cos x. So just use this formula here, and after applying that we will get 1 plus cos x into 1 minus cos x, divided by cos x into 1 minus of cos x. So we can cancel these two terms as x cannot be 2n pi. If x cannot be 2n pi, so cos x 1 minus cos x cannot be 0, cannot be 0. So in this way we can cancel out these two terms, and if we cancel out these two terms we will get 1 plus cos x divided by cos x. So we are getting 1 by cos x plus 1. This we had to prove. So if it is LHS left hand side and this is RHS, so LHS is equals to RHS. So this is proved. This is proved for all x not equals to 2n pi. Okay, now hence determine the range of values k for which this equation has no real solutions. Okay, so see the next slides for this. Here we have already proved that sin x tan x divided by 1 minus cos x equals to 1 plus 1 by cos x, where x cannot be 2n pi. So from here we can get the thing like that, that is 1 plus 1 by cos x is equals to k. 1 plus 1 plus 1 by cos x equals to k. So from here we can write 1 plus sec x equals to k. Now from this equation we can find out. So this is another equation. If we deduct it from here, so it is basically nothing but 1 plus sec x equals to k. Now if you remember the formula, if you remember the graph of cos x, then you can easily find out the graph of sec x. So the graph of cos x was like that. This is freehand drawing, so obviously there will be some fluctuations, but do forgive me for that part. Okay, so this is your cos x part, this is your cos x line, and obviously this is your cos x line, and this is plus 1 and this is minus 1, and these are the asymptote lines. We obviously know these are the asymptote lines, this line, then this line, these are the asymptote lines for sec x curve. Okay, for sec x curve these are the asymptote lines. Okay, so how you will construct the sec x curve here, and let me change my color also. Okay, so for sec x you will have this type of graph, this type of, here is the asymptote and you have this type of graph. Again here is the asymptote, you will have this type of graph. So in plus 1 you have one graph, and in minus 1 you have one graph. Again in the similar way you have one graph here and you have one graph here. It will not touch the asymptote line. Do remember, it will not touch the asymptote line. Okay, so in this way the sec x graph will be there. Now it is 1 plus sec x. It means it will be shifted above plus 1. It will be shifted above plus 1 around the y-axis. It will be shifted around the y-axis, it will be shifted. So again let me construct one graph. Here it is second graph. As you can see, it is the second graph. Now the thing is, it will be shifted above the plus 1. So here it is plus 1, here it is the h, that is plus 1, so it is shifted to plus 2, and here it is minus 1 and it is shifted to 0. So here is 0. So we will find the graph of let me give you direct the graph, that is you will have the graph like this here, and after this line, after this asymptote line, you will, there will be another asymptote line here, and you will find the graph here with the asymptote line. So basically it is shifted, plus 1 in the y-axis. So in this way, this was the normal, normal curve for cos x and sin and sec x. So from here you are getting the curve like this. So easily you can see in this region, that is in this 0 to 2, there is not any value. There is not any value. That is, there it has no real solution. So k, it has no real solution. So where it has no real solution, it will, the region will be 0 less than k, less than 2, it will not touch the values. 0 less than k less than 2, this is the value of k where it has no real solution. You can see it from the graph here in this region, only in this region that is from 0 to 2, it has no real value. So in this way we have found out the value of k, that is 0 less than k less than 2, the range of k for which sin x tan x divided by 1 minus cos x has no real solution. Okay, so this was the number 8th problem. Now we will move towards the last problem of this section, that is by using the substitution of x equals to tan u, find the value of 0 to 1 x square divided by 1 plus x square whole to the power cube dx. This is also a very simple question, but you have to remember some facts, some trigonometric formulas if you want to do this problem. Okay, so let's do this problem. First we have to substitute x equals to tan u. So if x equals to tan u, so if x equals to tan u, then we get x equals to tan u. So we are getting dx to be sec square u du. So this is the first thing you have to remember. Now as the independent variable is changed, so the range will also be changed, that is 0 to 1, this range will be changed. So when x equals to 0, 0 equals to tan u, so obviously u equals to 0, and when x equals to 1 equals to tan u, obviously u must be pi by 4. So now the limit becomes, here see, now the limit becomes, it is 0 to pi by 4 x square. So x square means tan square u dx means sec square u du divided by 1 plus x square to the power whole cube. So 1 plus tan square u to the power whole cube. So this is my integration now. The limit will be 0 to pi by 4 tan square u sec square u du divided by 1 plus tan square u to the power whole cube. Now if you remember, that is 1 plus tan square u is basically nothing but sec square u. From the formula of trigonometry we get that. So we will substitute it here. Here many substitutions you will get, just you have to remember all the parts. Okay, so I am doing the maths one by way, side by side, just remember these lines. Okay, so now 0 to pi by 4, first line is tan square u sec square u du divided by sec to, this is sec square u, and here the power is 3, so this is basically sec to the power 6u. So we are getting 0 to pi by 4 tan square u, here sec square u and sec to the power 6u, so this is basically sec to the power 4u du. So now we have to simplify this also. If we simplify this, we are getting the simple value to be 0 to pi by 4, here tan square u and here sec square u. So it is, as it is sec square u, if it is in up, so it is basically sin square u divided by cos square u into cos to the power 4u du. So it is basically 0 to pi by 4 sin square u cos square u du. Now here again you have to apply another property. Here again another property you have to apply to find out this answer. If you remember, that is sin 2u, this is equals to 2 sin u cos u. So sin u cos u, this is equals to sin 2u by 2. So sin square u cos square u is basically sin square 2u divided by 4. You have to substitute this value in the integration. So now the integration becomes, that is integration 0 to pi by 4, here sin square 2u by 4 du. This is the constant term. So 1 by 4 integration 0 to pi by 4 sine square 2u du. Again you have to apply another property, that is that property I am writing here, and on the next slide we will do the rest of the problems. That is cos 2 theta is equals to 1 minus 2 sine square theta, 1 minus 2 sine square theta. So this is 2 sine square theta. So if we write it like this way, cos of 4u equals to 1 minus 2 sine square u. Again we are trying to substitute this value. So it is basically nothing but 2 sine square, this is 2u, 2 sine square 2u equals to 1 minus cos 4u. So sine square 2u equals to 1 minus cos 4u divided by 2. Remember this value. In next slide we will apply this in the integration. So ultimately the integration becomes 1 by, here will be 1 by 4, 0 to pi by 4, and here it is 1 minus cos 4u, and complete divided by 2. This is now my integration. So 1 by 4. Now as it is the constant term, so I will just integrate it here. It is over du, so it will be half. So 1 by 2u minus, this will be sin u, cos u, integration sin u, so sin 4u divided by 2, and complete 0 pi by 4. So now what we will do here, from here you have to see here the steps are doing, I am doing the steps here. That is 1 by 4 into, if it is pi by 4, so we are applying pi by 4 here, into pi by 4. Now I am omitting the 0 terms, because 0 into u it will be 0, so I am omitting the 0 term. It is if I apply this also, if I don't apply this also, the fact is same, it is 0th term, minus now sin 4u. So sin, now 4 into pi by 4 equals to pi. So basically sin pi by sin pi and pi by 4 again. So this will be sin 0 is 0, so I am again omitting the term, sin 0 is 0. So basically this is by 2. So I am getting 1 by 4 into 1 by 2 into pi by 4 minus 0 again, this is also 0, sin pi equals to 0. So I am getting 1 by 4 into pi by 8. So I am getting pi by 32. So the value of the integration is, this is equals to pi by 32. So in this way you have to solve this problem. There are many trigonometric operations. Again I have to give you one more hint for all the problems in integration, that is you have to remember the formulas for trigonometry very well. If you know the formulas for trigonometry very well, you can easily do all these problems. Okay, so thank you so much for watching IB 360. In next video section B will be discussed. Thank you so much.
Welcome to IB 360. In this video we will discuss about the section B of the HL paper. So the first question is, here you can see, write down an expression for f dash x. Here fx is given, so we have f of x is equals to ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d, and we need to find out the f dash x. So this is very easy problem. Just you need to derivate this first, plus bx square plus cx plus d. As you can see from here, we are getting 3ax square plus 2bx plus c. So this is the value of f dash x. This is the value of f dash x, and we have got that. Now you have to find out that it is given that if inverse does not exist, then we have to show this particular thing. So it is very easy. Whenever there is told that the inverse does not exist for any algebraic function, it means it will have some type of graph like this, or some type of graph like this, or you can say some type of graph of this, where the particular point will meet the x-axis twice, this type of graph. So if this type of graph arises, then this will not pass the horizontal line test. If it is not passing the horizontal line test, so it means it will not have any inverse. Now the thing is, how we will check that? We know that if the discriminant is greater than 0, if discriminant is greater than 0, then it has two real solution. So if it has two real solution, then obviously the discriminant, that is b square minus 4ac, this must be greater than 0. If b square minus 4ac, this must be greater than 0. Now what is b? B is here 2b. Just you see this equation. So 2b whole square. Don't be puzzled by this equation. This is the general form. And here is the actual form of the quad equation. This is the quad equation. So we are using this only here. So the value of b will be 2b minus 4 into value of a is 3a and the value of c is c, greater than 0. So from here we are getting 4b square minus 12ac greater than 0. So we are getting b square minus 3ac greater than 0. So this is the second question that we need to verify. So given that f inverse does not exist, so as it does not exist, so b square minus 4ac greater than 0 will be there. So if b square minus 4ac, this is the, I have told that this is the general form, so don't be puzzled from this form actually. So we will put the values from the actual equation and we are getting this. So this is our answer. Okay, so now we will move toward the second part of this question, that is, consider the function gx equals to half x cube minus 3x square plus 6x minus 8 where x belongs to R. Show that g inverse does not exist. So here it is saying that show that g inverse does not exist. Actually we have already have seen that if b square minus 4ac, I am giving it here, if b square minus 4ac, this is greater than 0, then the inverse will not exist. Then inverse will not exist. If it is b square minus 4ac greater than 0, then inverse will not exist. So obviously we will check b square minus 4ac here and we will tell whether the inverse will exist or not. Okay, so this is the thing. It is also a very easy problem, but just you need to know the basic parts that have already been discussed. So here, as you can see, b is given as this equation, a is here and c is here, so we will apply all these values. So b equals to minus 3, a equals to half and c equals to 6. So and our formula was, this was the general formula, and our derived formula was b square minus 3ac greater than 0. From the previous slide you can see the derived formula was b square minus 3ac greater than 0. So obviously you can apply this here. If the b, so minus 3 whole square, so basically we have to find out the value of this particular part. We will see whether we will see what is the value of this. So minus 3 into value of a is half into value of c is 6. So it is 9 minus 9, so equals to 0. So we are getting that b square minus 3ac is equals to 0. Now the condition was, if b square minus 3ac is greater than 0, then inverse will not exist. But for this case you can see, b square minus 3ac equals to 0, and the condition is b square minus 3ac, if it is less than equals to 0, then inverse will exist. So for this case, so as b square minus 3ac is equals to 0 here, so G inverse of x exists. This is the first problem that we have just solved. That is, this will exist. Okay. Now the next problem, we will move toward the next problem, that is gx can be written in the form p into x minus 2 whole cube plus q, where pq is belonging to r. Okay, so first we will elaborate this. Okay, so just see x minus 2 whole cube, p into x minus 2 whole cube plus q here. So just elaborate this part. So p into this will be x cube minus 3 into x square into 2 plus 3 into x into 2 square minus 2 cube plus q. Just see the steps whatever I am doing here. So p is basically equals to x cube minus 6x square plus 12x minus 8 plus q. Now see the original equation, that is gx is equals to half of x cube minus 3x square plus 6x minus 8. So from here obviously we can write p equals to half. If we apply p equals to half here, so the equation will be 1 by 2 x cube minus, you can see here I am applying p equals to half in this equation, so minus 3x square plus 6x minus, here if we apply this it will be minus 4. So and in original equation here it is minus 8, so again we need minus 4 again in the term. So after applying p I am getting this, and this is the leftover part, so this must be q. So q equals to minus 4, so I am getting my answer, that is p equals to half and q equals to minus 4. So this is the answer that I need to find out. That is the find the value of p and find the value of q. So value of p is half and value of q is minus 4. So from where I am getting this value? I am getting this value from just by comparing these two equations. Now I have to find out the third problem, that is find g inverse of x. Okay, so we will find g inverse of x. It is also very easy, just you need to apply the normal problem. Okay, so let's start by find the g inverse of x. So already we have got, that is y equals to half of x minus 3 whole cube minus 4. Just we have rewritten this form using this formula. Okay, using this formula we have rewritten the form, that is p is half and q is minus 4. Okay, p is half and q is minus 4. Then y equals to half into x minus 3 whole cube minus 4. Now just do the operations here and you will find your answer, that is y plus 4 equals to half into x minus 3 whole cube. Okay, so from here you are getting 2 into y plus 4, this is equals to x minus 3 whole cube. So x minus 3 whole cube is equals to 2 into y plus 4. So x minus 3 equals to cube root of 2 into y plus 4. So x equals to cube root of 2 into y plus 4 plus 3. So we need to rewrite this portion. The equation was x minus 2. Sorry, the equation was x minus 2. So here will be x minus 2. Okay, so here will be x minus 2. So this term will also be plus 2 here. Just you have to give it here, x minus 2, 2 and again 2, 2. So this will be x minus 2 into, so x equals to plus 2. Now just rewrite the function in terms of x and you will have your inverse function. So g inverse of x is equals to nothing but cube root of 2 into x plus 4 minus plus 2. So this is the inverse of the given function. This is the inverse of the given function. Okay, so in this way you can do the third problem also. It was also again a very simple problem. Now here it is given that state each of the transformations in the order in which they are applied. Okay, so the graph y equals to gx may be obtained by transforming the graph of y equals to x cube using a sequence of 3 transformations. State each of the transformations in order in which they are applied. Okay, so we need to apply some transformation here, that is basically like this: y equals to half x minus 2 whole cube minus 4. This was our equation. So to graph this equation, we will need to have the base equation of y equals to x cube. So if it is the base equation, so obviously you know the graph will be like this. For y equals to x cube, the graph will be like this. Now to plot this graph, we need to have 3 transformations here. First transformation is this, second transformation is this, and third transformation is this. So if we do these transformations, then we will get, after adding the 3 transformations in this particular equation, we will get this equation. So the 3 transformations are: first is, that is to translate right by 2 units. We have to translate right by 2 units. Second transformation, translate right by 2 units for this particular part. Then vertical compress by scale factor 2. Then vertical compression by scale factor. This is just because this term. Okay, and translate down by 4 units. So this is just because this particular term, that is minus 4. That's why. So after all these applications, we will have our graph, but to match the coordinates, we have to reapply some values for the coordinates. So let us see the question number. So this question will to state the transformations that we need to apply. Here are the 3 transformations. Now we need to sketch the graph. Okay, so now we will sketch the graph. So to sketch the graph, we need some values here. To sketch the graph, first we need some values. So first I am writing, I am drawing the axis here. So it is freehand drawing. Obviously you will understand that there are some fluctuations, but you will understand the fact before. So if y equals to 0, if we are giving that y equals to 0, then half of x minus 2 whole cube minus 4 equals to 0. So from here we are getting x minus 2 whole cube minus 8 equals to 0. So we are getting x minus 2 whole cube equals to 8. So we are getting this is equals to 8. So if it is equals to 8, then obviously x minus 2 equals to 2 and x equals to 4. So at y equals to 0, the value of x is 4, or we can say in vice versa, that is when x equals to 4, the value of y will be 0. So if we are putting some points like here, so this is the point where this is a point where it is the coordinate is 4 comma 0 here. Now here we have applied y equals to 0. Again we need to apply x equals to 0 also. So if we put x equals to 0, then from this equation we will have y to be minus 8. So if x is 0, then y must be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 somewhere here, that is minus 8 comma 0. Okay, so y will be minus 8, sorry. So this will be 0 comma minus 8. So this is the point. Now just you need to join the points for plotting the graph. This is your x-axis and this is your y-axis. So the point will be like this. So in this way the point will be there. Now as you can see, sketch the graph of y equals to gx. It is done. The graph is y equals to g of x and y equals to g inverse x on the same set of axes, indicating the points where each graph crosses the coordinate values. Now you know that when we have the value of y equals to gx, and to
draw y equals to g inverse x, just we need a y equals to x line and we need to draw the mirror image of this function. Now for -8, then the value will be here, this will be -8, this will be -8, this will be -8 comma 0, and the 4 value will be here, that is 0 comma 4 for inverse. So just we need to draw the image or mirror image of this function, that will be like this. So as it is freehand drawing, but I think you have understood how we have constructed the g inverse of x. We have just did we just have drawn y equals to x line and we just have the mirror image of this particular line here. Okay, so in this way we have drawn the value here and we have drawn the pictures here. So the coordinates are, as you can see, I am giving a point out here. This is the coordinate for y equals to gx, and these are the coordinates for y equals to g inverse x. Always remember one thing, that is, if the function has inverse and you know the graph of the function, then obviously you can draw the function by y equals to x line just by creating the mirror image over there. Okay, so now the second question, 11 number question, that is, show that dy dx equals to yx. So here it is given, just we need to complete all these things. Okay, so we will do one by one. First we will do the derivative part. Okay, so here we have our function y square equals to sine xy. So if we do derivative in both the sides, so it will be 2y dy dx equals to cos of xy, and we need to again derivate this inside part just by the chain rule process. So it will be ddx of xy, ddx of xy, you need to apply it here. So 2y dy dx is equals to cos of xy, and for this ddx of x, y ddx of x plus x ddx of y. So from here we are getting 2y dy dx is equals to, just put the values here, that is y cos of xy plus, here it is x cos of xy dy dx. Okay, so just put the values here, and you will have your equation. Just keep the dy dx in one side. So 2y dy dx minus x cos xy dy dx equals to y cos xy. So from here just see the steps here, that is I am taking dy dx as common, that is 2y minus x cos xy equals to y cos xy. So I am getting dy dx to be y cos xy divided by 2y minus x cos xy. So this is the derivative that we need to find out, and the first question is done. Now we have to find out, prove that when dy dx equals to 0, y is equals to plus minus 1. Okay, so it is given that dy dx equals to 0. So if dy dx equals to 0, it means y cos xy divided by, just let me write in the perfect way, y cos xy divided by 2y minus x cos xy, this must be equals to 0. Now keep this equation in mind, and we are doing this problem. Okay, so from the previous page we got that it to be 0, if it is 0, then must be y cos xy equals to 0. Just from this step we are doing, if it is equals to 0, so y cos xy equals to 0, so either y equals to 0 or cos of xy equals to 0, but y cannot be 0. See here, y is not equals to 0, so y cannot be 0. So cos xy equals to 0 here. Okay, then if cos xy equals to 0, just see the graph, where cos xy can be 0. I am just drawing the graph of cos. You can see here, these are the points. These are the points when for the value of cos will be 0. So the values of these points are like pi by 2, then this is 3 pi by 2, and so on. So basically the value of x is pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, 5 pi by 2, dot 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 dot, 2n plus 1 pi by 2. So basically this is the thing for x, for this particular complete equation to be 0. And if it is the complete equation to be 0 for all these values, now if the derivative, now here the derivative is becoming 0. Now we are trying to find out the value of y from the normal equation, that is y equals to sine of xy. Now we will draw a graph of sine just to see the perfect y values for this equation. You will see these type of questions are basically graphical analysis, and that's why we are doing all these problems in this way. So this is the graph of sine here. This is the graph of, obviously I am drawing in freehand, so some error will be there. Just ignore all these errors. So at x equals to pi by 2, what you can see? You can see the value of y is plus 1. At minus pi by 2, you can see here, this is pi by 2. This is, okay, so this is 3 pi by 2. At 3 pi by 2, the value of y is minus 1. So basically at all these x values, y value is either plus 1 or y equals to minus 1 for these values. But this equation at this particular x values, this equation is giving, so y square is giving either plus 1 or minus 1, but square value cannot be minus 1, so y square equals to 1 at this particular value in sine x graph, and here you can see the cos x graph. Okay, so from both these two graphs we are matching the value. Okay, so y square equals to 1, so y equals to plus minus 1. So here you can see that when dy dx equals to 0, from here when dy dx equals to 0, we have got the value of x. From the value of x, as again here there is another variable, we are trying to get the value of the variable from the main equation, and from the main equation you can see whenever the value of x is pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, 5 pi by 2, and 2n plus 1 pi by 2, the corresponding y values are either plus 1 or minus 1. So y square value will be either plus 1 or minus 1. Okay, y square value will be either plus 1 minus 1, but the thing is y square cannot be minus 1, so y square must be 1. If y square equals to 1, then y equals to plus minus 1. So in this way this problem is solved. Prove that dy dx equals to 0 for y equals to plus minus 1. Now you have to find out the value for which here find the coordinate. Now just we need to find out the coordinate. Okay, just we need to find out this coordinates. Okay, so this is also very simple problem, just we need to find out a simple coordinate. So for x we have found out the value like to be pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, 5 pi by 2, 7 pi by 2, 9 pi by 2, and so on. But you can see here it is limited in 4 pi, so obviously we cannot take the value of 9 pi by 2. So the value of x will ranging from pi by 2 to 7 pi by 2. Okay, so value of x will be from pi by 2 to 7 pi by 2, as it is from 0 to 4 pi. Now for corresponding these values we need to find out the y value, because in this question we have been asked that you have to find out the coordinates. So we need x values as well as we need the y values. Okay, so this is a very simple problem. Just for x equals to pi by 2, if now dy dx equals to 0, for dy dx to be 0, y values must be plus 1 or minus 1. Okay, so just we have to find out for x equals to pi by 2 what is the value of y, and x equals to 3 pi by 2 what is the value of y. Okay, so just it is a very simple thing. If now you can see sine pi by 2, and if it is sine pi by 2, and if it is sine pi by 2, here the value of this is y, and it is sine 5 pi by 2 into y, then obviously this is the value where it is sine pi by 2, and this is 5 pi by 2. So for these values you will have the corresponding y value to be 1, because this is 1, this is also 1. In sine complete, the value of y square equals to 1, so we need to find out y from this particular equation, so y value must be 1. Okay, so for the now here the complete solution I am writing. So for pi by 2 the value of y is 1, for 5 pi by 2 the value of y is 1. Now see here, when I am writing sine of 3 pi by 2y and sine of 7 pi by 2 into y, 7 pi by 2 into y, see here. So here inside this function it is minus y, again sine of minus y, but I need plus 1 only. From this equation I need plus 1 only. Okay, so this is not sine, just minus y. So I need 1 here, y square to be 1. So the value of y must be minus 1 to match this. So minus 1 into minus 1, this will be 1. Again minus 1 into minus 1 equals to 1. So for the values of 3 pi by 2 and 7 pi by 2, y value must be minus 1. Y value must be minus 1. So I think you have the idea now. So from here you can write 3 pi by 2 comma minus 1 and 7 pi by 2 comma minus 1. These are the coordinates in the range 0 less than x less than 4 pi. In this range I have only 4 coordinates, and the coordinates are, this is the first coordinate, this is the second coordinate, this is the third coordinate, and this is the fourth coordinate. Okay, so this problem is also done. Now we have the last problem that is here you can see that state the equation of the vertical asymptote on the graph of y equals to fx. So for vertical asymptote it will be x equals to 5, x equals to k, this one is the vertical asymptote. Okay, so here you can see the vertical asymptote, x equals to k, vertical asymptote, and we have to find out the horizontal asymptote. So for horizontal asymptote we just need to divide the coefficient here. So the first coefficient is k and second coefficient is plus 1. So the horizontal asymptote is y equals to k by 1 equals to y equals to k. So this is the horizontal asymptote and this is the vertical asymptote. Okay, now we have to find out, use an algebraic method to determine whether f is a self-inverse function or not. Okay, so we need to find out whether f is self-inverse or not. How we will find out? Just from this equation, that is y equals to f of x equals to kx minus 5 divided by x minus k. Just multiply that. So y into x minus k is equals to kx minus 5. So we are getting xy, just multiply that. Okay, so xy minus ky equals to kx minus 5. So from here we just need to write the equation in terms of y. Okay, so just take the values, xy minus kx equals to ky minus 5. So we are getting x common, y minus k is equals to ky minus 5. So x equals to ky minus 5 divided by y minus k. Okay, so this is the equation here. Now just rewrite the equation in terms of, so f inverse of x, this is equals to nothing but kx minus 5 divided by x minus k. Just rewrite the equation in terms of x. Okay, so you are getting f inverse of x and fx is same. So f inverse of x is equals to fx in terms of normal independent variable x. So that's why I can say f is a self-inverse function. Okay, so the third problem is also done. 12 ABC, 3 problems are done. Okay, so 3 problems are done. This slide I have taken one extra slide, whether I will take some extra time or not for this particular slide. That's why for safety the slides has been taken. Now you can see, sketch the graph of y equals to fx
stating clearly the equations of any asymptotes and the coordinates of any point of intersection with the coordinate value. So I just need to sketch the value of y equals to fx, and it is given that k is equals to 3. So if k is equals to 3, your equation becomes just you have f of x is equals to kx minus 5 divided by x minus k. So if x equals to 3, then you have f of 3 at k equals to 3 at k equals to 3, your fx will be at k equals to 3. So fx at k equals to 3, this will be 3x minus 5 divided by x minus 3. Okay, so this is the equation. Now I just need to draw the graph only. Okay, so you have at just find out the values. If x equals to 0, then y equals to, if x equals to 0, then y equals to 5 by 3. If y equals to 0, if y equals to 0, then x will be again 5 by 3. So this is the, if this is the condition, then we can clearly have the graph here. Okay, again this is a handmade manual graph, so there will be some fluctuations, you just need to avoid that. Okay, so at k equals to 3, so the vertical asymptote as well as horizontal asymptote will be on the 3. This is x equals to 3 and y equals to 3, this will be your asymptote lines, this will be your asymptote lines. Okay, so if these are your asymptote lines, then obviously this is your, these are the all asymptote lines I have already mentioned earlier. So just we need to draw the graph. So at x equals to 0, y is 5 by 3, so 5 by 3 somewhere is like there. So this point is 0 comma 3, and this point is 3 comma 0, and this will be asymptote, and this is the value, this is the one value, and this is somewhere the second value is there. So the graph will be like this only. So the graph will be like this. It is trying to touch the asymptote, but will not be able to do that. And from here also we are just a mirror image of this graph. Okay, this is the graph of this equation. Again, how you will verify that? Draw a line of x equals y equals to x, and you will have the same cutting here. Okay, so this is the y equals to x line, and you have the same cutting here. Okay, so this is the graph for y equals to, this is the graph for y equals to fx, y equals to fx, where k equals to 3. This is the graph of, you have to just keep in mind how we have just drawn the asymptote values. Obviously we have mentioned the horizontal asymptote and vertical asymptote, that is both the asymptotes will be k. So if the value of k is 3, then obviously the asymptote value will be 3. So that's why the graph is like this. Okay, now the last question of this particular thing, that is the region bounded by the x-axis of the curve y equal to fx and the line x equals to 5 and x equals to 7 is rotated through 2 pi about the x-axis. So we are rotating this in the x-axis. Okay, I am not drawing this graph in the next slide, so try to understand the fact here. Find the volume of the solid generated, giving your answer in terms of pi, in terms of this. Okay, so we have one formula for this, that is pi a to b y square dx if the particular graph is rotated about the y-axis. So I have rotated the graph about y-axis, so y square dx, and the pi value is, as it is constant, so it will be moved out to the integration. So a to b y square dx. So the y will be here, y equals to here nothing but 3x minus 5 and x minus 3, and your a is 5 and b is 7. So obviously you just have to integrate this part only, that is pi 5 to 7 y square means 3x minus 5 divided by x minus 3 whole square dx. So just you have to do this. Okay, so let's do this. So just we need to integrate that part only. So pi integration v equals to pi integration 5 to 7 3x minus 5 divided by x minus 3 whole square dx. Just expand this. So pi integration 5 to 7, after expanding it will be 9x square minus 30x plus 25 divided by x square minus 6x plus 9
dx. Okay, so to make it in the general form, just you need to divide it. Okay, I am doing it in this portion. So 9x square minus 30x plus 25, just divide this with this term, so here space is little bit low, just you need to see that I am dividing this equation with this. Okay, so just you have to get the value, like here it will be 9. To get the value, here it will be 9. So if it is 9, then just see here to here. Okay, so 9x square minus 54x plus 81, so it is minus plus minus, so I am having 24x minus 56. So obviously I can write now, that is 5 to 7, here I can write pi, so 9 plus 24x minus 56 divided by, it is x square minus 6x plus 9, so I am writing it in this way, dx. Now you can do it in this way, like again one more formula you need to apply, that is in terms of like 24x minus 56 divided by x minus 3 whole square in terms of a by x minus 3 plus b by x minus 3 whole square. I am just trying to find out the normal equation of this. Okay, so just see after the here, after this line, see here. Okay, so we can write 24x minus 56, this is equals to a into x minus 3 plus b, just normal equation. So first, if at x equals to 3, we have b equal, we have the value of b, so b will be 72 minus 56 equals to 16. At x equals to 0, we have minus 56 equals to a into minus 3 plus 16, so we have 3a equals to 72, so a will be 24, so the value of a is 24 and value of b is 16. So the complete equation, so the complete integration now becomes, see the value of the integration here, so integration pi, this is v equals to pi 579 plus a by x minus 3, so a will be 24, so 24 divided by x minus 3, see the beauty of this equation, and b, the value of b is 16, so 16 divided by x minus 3 whole square complete dx. Now see the complete equation from here, it is derived to this equation. This simply is a simple equation. Now you can do this very simply. Okay, so in next slide we will do that. So the complete equation is like this, pi, so 5 7, okay, then we have 9 plus, it is 24 by x minus 3 plus 16 divided by x minus 3 whole square is complete dx. So I am getting the normal values, so 9x, this is 9x plus 24 ln x minus 3 plus 16 here x minus 3 inverse. Okay, and the limit is from 5 to 7. Just simple integration here. It is x minus 3 here. Just one more example for you. If it is 16, so it is basically 16 x minus 3 to the power minus 2, and the simple integration here. Okay, so 9 of x, so 9 into 7 minus 5 plus 24 of ln 4 minus ln 2, simple, just 7 minus 3 4 and 5 minus 3 2 plus 16, again here will be 4 inverse minus 2 inverse. Okay, so we are getting, that is pi, just pi here, pi term must be you just be careful with your all the equations. So 18 plus 24 ln 2 plus 16 into 1 by 4, so I have pi 18 plus 24 ln 2 plus 4. So the equation is becoming pi plus 22 pi into 22 plus 24 ln 2. Okay, see, it is the we need to find out this and this. These two are here. Just from here I can say a equals to 22 and b equals to 24. This is there. Okay, so the last problem is also done. Thank you for watching IB 360. We will meet again in some next videos. Thank you so much.